Operating despite the partial shutdown of the FAA. But while flights continue, construction projects at various airports have been put on hold. That includes a number of construction projects at Syracuse's Hancock International Airport. These are on hold until the shutdown can be resolved, which of course would require Congress returning from its vacation to work out an agreement. Joining me now to explain how airports are dealing with this situation is Christina Reale. She is the Syracuse Aviation Commissioner. Christina, thanks very much for being with us.
Thank you, Liz. Pleasure to be here.
So you have two situations going on. One is about $4 million worth of smaller scale projects that you've had to put on hold because of this standoff down in D.C. But then you've got a larger $50 million scale project that is going forward as planned. How does that work?
There are two separate sources of funding. The smaller projects, the $4 million in projects that you referred to, are funded through our Airport Improvement Program, which is directly funded by the FAA. These particular projects that we're talking about are really focused on our snow and ice control operations and are on hold. The passenger terminal security project is funded by a separate source of money through passenger facility charges. These are fees that the passenger pays that are tacked on to the price of an airline ticket and then collected by the airlines on our behalf and then remitted to the airport for specific projects.
Okay. So regarding the de-icing and the other equipment that has to do with winter, which of course nobody wants to think about right now, but Syracuse had a really rough winter, if I remember correctly, with just feet and feet of snow that seemed not to stop. Is this going to be a problem for you guys come the winter season because you can't get this maintenance done now?
No, the projects that we were planning to do and still hope to do were more projects geared towards storage of equipment, a sand storage dome, some paving in the general airfield maintenance area. So postponing these projects for a few months or a couple of months is really not going to impact our ability to deal with, as you said, the 180, 90 inches of snow that we can get in a given season. I
almost feel like we should just quickly move off this topic because I don't even want to think about that at this moment because we deal with so much weather in this area. Just sort of on the grand scale of things, though, as an airport executive, can you discuss what it is like to try and deal with the uncertainty that this kind of situation causes?
Well, we work off a 5-year plan. We prioritize projects based on need and necessity, and we're fortunate in that these projects that we were planning to move forward with, and I think I should say that this issue will be resolved and we will be able to move forward with the design of these projects. But the impact that this is having in Syracuse and in New York State, aviation is so vital to not only the local economy, but the state as a whole. I think my colleagues at other airports are dealing with similar issues, and I can tell you that I've had conversations with these folks, and Rochester, Ithaca, Binghamton, Elmira, combined, we're looking at $28 million worth of projects. So, we need this issue to be resolved, and we need it to be resolved quickly.
Right, and it comes to well, and it also comes at a time when both Governor Cuomo and President Obama are trying to talk about the economy and jobs. These are job stimulation projects. They create jobs, and yet people are not able to work on these projects when Congress can't get its act in gear.
Well, certainly aviation is a huge economic generator for our local economy and for the state and the country. So there are definitely negative impacts all the way around.
One of the sticking points between the Senate and the House, as I understand it, is subsidized service to rural airports. Obviously, Syracuse is not rural, but do you know that any upstate airports or any service is actually impacted or is hanging in the balance because of this disagreement?
Well, I'm not aware of any at the moment, but I can say that aviation is important, and I think it's important to support aviation across the state.
There are also, as I had actually mentioned earlier in the show, 4,000 people who are furloughed, who are directly employed by the FAA, and then subsequently 70,000 people, this is national now, who are working on these construction projects, and they are also not working at the moment. The FAA folks who are impacted in New York are down in New York City, but you have some dealings with them. So does that cause any problems for you guys?
Well, we can't call them and ask them what the status is and what's going on. So
Right.
absolutely, we have a really good relationship with the folks in our airport's district office. We deal with them on a regular basis regarding grants and funding and other issues. So it's important that they get back to work soon so we can continue to talk to them and do what we need to do to run our airports.
There's also a question, there are people who are now inspecting, who are working without pay and also without being able to pay for their own, they have to pay for their own travel. Does this impact security or safety at Syracuse or any airports?
Well, I can only speak on behalf of Syracuse, and I can say that the answer is no. There is no impact to safety or security.
Are you getting a lot of concern from passengers about that particular topic? How are you reaching out to them about that?
No, I really haven't heard any concerns from the public or from folks traveling. So. I think the important thing, this needs to be resolved, as I said, really needs to be addressed quickly, whether that's through a short-term reauthorization, which I think is the immediate priority, and then a longer-term FAA authorization bill that allows airports to plan and to do what they need to do to improve their airports and, invest in the facilities and in the grounds.
And if that doesn't happen, how long can you guys go without that occurring, without the funding?
Well, again, our projects that are sort of on delay are not critical to the operation. This will be resolved, and I think what will ultimately end up happening is we'll just postpone and we'll start at a later date, and we'll just move everything 6 months or a year. Our projects that we're talking about are just design projects, so they actually won't be ready for construction until next year anyway. So we're fortunate in that regard.
Well, we are awaiting word from Congress and also from the White House. The President has expressed optimism that this actually might be resolved, perhaps as soon as this week. We will not hold our breath after what we've seen for the debt ceiling deal, but hopefully it will be resolved soon. Christine and Reale, I want to thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.